All right. Hey guys, welcome to me streaming on Sundays. This is gonna be the plan moving forward. Is I'm gonna be streaming on Sunday mornings, talking about supercars. This is just the time that seems to work better for me. I'm awake early in the morning anyway, and I get pretty run down towards the evening. So there's just no way I'm gonna be able to stream um at like 7 or 8 at night. And then having Sundays are usually a bit more relaxed for me. I'm not usually doing too much on a Sunday morning. Things are usually happening on Saturdays and Fridays, but Sunday works for me. So we'll do our usual thing. The first thing that I want to do, we'll get straight into it. All right, had this little back and forth on comments with this guy, J Doe, which I guess means John Doe. So we had this nice little back and forth talking about stuff. He posted a comment on the stream that this is the why you should change drivers in supercars clip, and so this guy's responding to it. He said Dean Canto was always limited on budget available. I said a lot of drivers are. I wonder if that's what David Noble was getting at when it comes to helping talent make it to the top, because David Noble made some comments and said that there needs to be serious investment in identifying talent, and I thought that was a very vague thing to say, and I don't know if he fully understands. I don't know. He didn't really explain it very well, so that's sort of what I was thinking of. Is like, oh, well, maybe helping talented drivers make it to the top through helping fund them, helping them get linked up with sponsors or something. And then he says, there's no such thing as paid drivers. Drivers either bring a budget or a sponsor with a budget that pays the team. And if they're lucky, there is money for them, or the team's main sponsor agrees to also sponsor the driver. So that's what he's saying. That's his opinion. Which he's saying that in general, drivers have backers, smaller sponsors, and side jobs, so they don't actually. Actually, I just remembered I need to pop out the chat. Give me a second. Pop out chat. Bro thinks it's the 90s. I think he does. What do you think of? I think this time of day works. Because I know we've had little back and forths at this time of day, so I think it's a good time. All right, I'll get back to showing it. But yeah, I thought that I had was like, oh, maybe he's thinking about things from a long time ago or something. He says like he was like down further. He says he was a control component supplier with track support to supercars, so he knows a lot of drivers. And I'm like, I'm thinking the definition of knowing someone is a different thing. It's like, what do you mean you know? When does a control component supplier talk to a driver? Or I get that they might be invited to events, things like that, so they might talk to drivers. Yeah, it's just he just says, how many main game drivers do you know? It's like, I don't know. I'm just a dumb guy who likes supercars. All right, I'm learning as much as I can. I obviously am not involved, but yeah, he just he didn't want to have a conversation. He wanted to be right, and I wasn't really gonna completely agree with him. So, where was yeah. So I said I don't believe that people do the as insert fandom, they give their opinion. Uh, it's just crazy. Yeah. Well, everyone who likes a thing, I don't give a fuck who you like. It doesn't make your opinion more credible. Yeah. It's just like unless you're like in it, then I'm gonna in it and doing it, then I'm gonna take your opinion as being a bit more credible. Like, the thing that he's yelling. He's yapping, yeah, he is. He wants to be he thinks that because what does he call it? Uh, because he is in their orbit, that makes him part of their group. Yeah. Um, I just think that's sort of funny. Um, Brock Feeney 0. Oh, yeah, exactly. I'm like, yeah, mate. Yeah, Brock Feeney's bringing millions of dollars to Red Bull Ampol Racing. Are you kidding me? Like, are you actually kidding me? We know the drivers who are bringing sponsors. We know the ones who are actually bringing a little bit of budget. Some of them are bringing no budget and still getting signed. Like Tim Slade wasn't bringing much money at all. So they're like, yeah, your Brock Feeney's, Brody Kostecki's, Will Brown, Chaz Mostert. Chaz Mostert obviously has personal sponsors, but that's he hasn't been bringing money. That hasn't been securing his seat. He's obviously getting paid. Like, how do you think they live in the Gold Coast? You know, like people are getting paid. Established teams, yeah. I think the top teams definitely pay their drivers, and your MSRs, BJRs, BRTs, um, and Team 18 a little bit. They're definitely concerned with who's bringing money. He brings sponsorship to Walkinshaw. Yeah, but I think that doesn't pay his bills. I think that's just like a little like sugarcoating. Well, not sugarcoating. It's the cherry on top. You know, like he's making bank being a Walkinshaw driver and doing a great job at it. And I'm sure there's bonuses associated. And then obviously he's got all these other things that he does. And that's just part of the business. And maybe coming up the ranks, you just sort of get used to it and you're like, man, I need some stickers on my helmet. Optus sponsor seems like his work. Maybe. He obviously does ads for Optus. They came to sponsor because of him. They were on board in a lesser capacity in 21. We can find it. If I just find a picture of Chaz's car. 21. Oh, this is 2020. So I'll show that. Because obviously he had Appliances Online as a major sponsor. Not seeing. Yeah, but like they might have been like a minor sponsor. I don't see any Optus on that car at all on the front of it at least at Adelaide 2020. So it must have come. They did. They definitely came on board in 21. Yeah, because they had GoMo on the front headlights and on the banner. They were definitely involved. Oh, it's 21. So GoMo is like the budget version. It's 21. Let me show. Yep. Here we go. Separate sponsors for each car. Yeah, well, I think Bryce had GoMo on it as well. But obviously Bryce was bringing middies, and then middies have their back there, and they're cutting ties with Bryce. So Bryce doesn't have the budget to go supercars racing anymore, but Cameron Hill does. That's why he gets the seat. Yeah. Well, I mean, Gomo was on board. Okay, well, we can look at. So you got. Whoopsies. Hang on, what am I doing? I'll stop that. I'll find. For some reason, things don't want to stay where I've got them. So that guy is saying his drivers bring their sponsor to thousands to be paid. Yeah, obviously. He thinks the whole field does it. Yeah, exactly. James Moffat, when he drove for Dick Johnson Racing, he wasn't getting paid, But he brought his own sponsors. He was driving for DJR for free because he wanted the seat. So he's one of those guys that's like, I just want to be in it, and I'm happy to fund the drive. You don't have to pay me. But maybe he was getting paid by his sponsors as well, just to pay the bills. That might have been true as well. Nepotism. What? What? Because he's the son of Alan Moffat, so he gets um, some sort of special benefit. I mean, obviously, he's going to have a roof on his head, but I think a lot of racing drivers aren't going to be completely broke. Brody Kostecki said he was homeless. They got money, so we can drive for free. Yeah. Yeah, okay, I see your point. Yeah, yeah. So he's not worrying about paying the bills. He's just worried about driving the car. I get that. Yeah, probably the same with Bryce even. But it was a few years ago. Roland Dane did an article talking about how much supercars drivers are getting paid. Some of them were getting, I think, is that a lot of them are getting decent wages. Um, some of them bring money, and the way they get paid might be what this guy's talking about. You doubt Alan made enough to be rich. I think he found a way to make things work. As the sort of guy that he was. Um, had people pay for things. I've got the nepotism is he's good sponsorship. Having like being the son of Alan Moffat. Because his last name is marketable. Yeah, well, it's like being a Johnson or a Richards or a Murphy. Long term had Norton following whenever he went. Yeah, and eventually that ended, and Toshiba stuck around a couple years longer, and that was the end of it. His first year in the Volvos, he still had Toshiba, and then when GRM switched to the VF Commodore, then he didn't have. 2015 Nissan, no more Norton, and then he moved to Volvo, and then he had Toshiba on the headlights, I think, and then that fell away for 2017 to just a suit sponsor, maybe. Let's find a picture. I don't know if I've got any pictures of James Moffat here, but I should have some somewhere. No, I haven't got any. I'll have to Google it because his race suit was different. Right. Okay. Well, let's Google James Moffat 2015. He's got Toshiba there in his rookie year. In his rookie year in 2011. Difficult to find. It's difficult to find pictures of his race suit. Jim Beam and Norton. Yeah, obviously, yeah. Yeah, and because what I said was he's bringing the sponsorship, and yeah, because the sponsors could have been paying him as well. Oh, here we go. It might have been 2012. This one though. I'll show it. We're looking here. Yeah. So Jim Beam he's got Norton mostly, so it's probably 2012, but I think 2018 definitely had a bit of Norton on it, wherever it was. Yeah. Yeah, this is 2012 But you can see he's got a little bit of Norton on the car there. 2011 was the white suit. Okay. Yeah, they had a lot more yellow in 2012. I actually can see it there. Yeah. Yeah, there's different situations with different drivers, but I'd say a lot of them are getting paid. Like Andre Heimgartner's probably getting paid, and that's why BJR got the money for one driver, and then everyone else has to bring money, and one of them is his son, so he gets a seat regardless, as long as the team actually has a sponsor for that car. And maybe he gets a little bit of money as well, but maybe that's through the sponsor. I saw someone said that Pizza Hut is like a supercar sponsor, and that's why, and it was just given to BJR, and then BJR have used it to keep Macca. But that's just some guy on Speed Cafe, I think, saying that. I'll go back to this. Yeah. So I said, I don't believe what this guy's saying. I said the obvious drivers whose opportunities depend on their budget and not as many as you seem to think. Driving the top teams like Triple Eight, Tickford, DJR, Groves, WA definitely pick and pay their drivers. Others like MSR, BJR, BRT seem to need a budget brought to them. That's why Forward's out. Hill's moving to BJR and LeBrock's back to MSR. I said I thought Percat might be getting booted because Bendix were pulling out, but it looks like their Bendix are staying. But I'd say most of the field don't depend on bringing a budget and do get paid, which is why there's pressure to perform unless you're Randall. And yeah, this guy just didn't seem to understand. He didn't seem to read what I said, and so it's whatever. Because he quoted his article. He said, "Are you suggesting the business of racing includes what type of voodoo Randall has as of his team?" I don't know. Tickford lost, Ryland Gray. Tough. I mean, Castro, I guess because Randall's maybe a marketable kind of guy. Like, and I think sometimes that's an important part of the business. If Castro like Randall, then Castro are happy to stay. But just in competitive terms, yeah, there is like, why is he still there when there's obviously more talented guys that are missing out on a seat, and Tickford are just letting them loose. The A driver isn't doing too good either at the moment to have a marketable guy. Yeah. Yeah, it's not Cam Waters has not had a great year, and they just didn't have fast cars at Sandown. For me, I think the driver is bringing the sponsorship when team cars have different sponsors. Yeah. Well, could be true. Obviously true for Cam Hill with Superglass. I think he's got maybe a couple other sponsors as well. Tickford can't be a top team with different sponsors. That's crazy. Well, it's not common in these days to have 2-car sponsored teams. They've been that way since they started. Yeah, pretty much, except for the Pepsi days. That was about it. Because even before Pepsi, they had Trading Post, and when they had would you look at Pepsi Days uniform sponsorship. Win Bathurst and championships. Yeah. Yeah, well, there you go. That's it, isn't it? Maybe that is a thing. But they also had chances of winning Bathurst at other times as well. But yeah, maybe that's a good little theory, that one. Two car teams, two two car sponsorship. Those teams win Bathurst and championships. Um, Not always the case. There are maybe it's what is it? Causation, not correlation, or correlation, not causation. So it's more like an identity thing. Yeah, I think it shows how secure the team is when you've got two car sponsorship. Like you got Groves, they're not afraid to get rid of one driver, put a different one in because they know they've got Penrite on board. And same thing with Triple Eight. Sponsor leaves, they get another one to come in that's equally as good, equally as high paying, or whatever the deal is, and then they just swap the drivers around the way they want them. Sponsors won't walk with the driver. Yeah, well, Penrite used to be with Reynolds. Well, they only moved once. If Waters leaves, Tickford, Monster is gone. Yeah, I think that might be true. Um, yeah, but I think it's interesting because Monster wasn't with Waters until he debuted in the main game as a full time driver. Then he had Monster on board. But I think even back then they didn't even announce him until January 2016. They were just sort of waiting for a sponsor. They had one they were working on, and boom, it was Monster. They scrapped it together. That sponsorship. Yeah. Oh, I think wasn't Paul Morris involved getting Monster on board, or was that a different time? Not sure. He ended up being distant and they said, "Fuck it, we'll stay." Okay. Yeah. There's another one that's interesting. The Bottle-O. There's a great interview. I can't remember who it's with. I think it might be Rusty's Garage or something, interviewing Rod Nash, talking about the Bottle-O and how they got the Bottle-O on board because the Bottle-O they're obviously a relatively small business and wanted to get involved. And Rod Nash said, "Hey, you can sponsor one of our cars," and or one of I guess back then it would have been Rod's car, and he got them involved, and maybe it was on less of less of a budget, or less a smaller amount than what would normally be paid, and they were able to make that work. And because I think sometimes the sponsorship helps the business, and and then the business grows, and the business can increase its marketing budget and return that investment to the racing sponsorship. Yeah, from Autobahn to Bottle from '07 to '08, because Bottle had the banner in '07 at Bathurst. Might have been other times as well, but yeah, but they went like full time, and I guess they it was sort of interesting because they got rid of for business. Um, well, Autobahn also went to Paul Dumbrell for '08 as well because he went to HSV. So he was no longer the super cheap driver. So he went to HSV. So I guess Daddy's Cash wins with that one. And Autobahn went to sponsor Paul. So then maybe they knew that was going to happen. Not sure when those things would have been organised, but I think they used to happen around December, January sort of time. But sometimes at the last round, things will be sorted depending on who you are. Um, then he ended up at Rod Nash Racing. Full circle. Yeah. Yeah. It is good. but he still had the autobahn on it. It just wasn't a full-time autobahn. Sort of interesting, yeah. But I think things were changing at that business because I think was it 2010 or 2011, Gary Dumbrell died, and then things started to change with the business. So Paul had to be more involved because obviously Lucas, well, maybe Lucas didn't deserve that sort of pressure on him that Paul could handle it. So Paul would spend his time working on the business, and so 2010 was his best year. 2011 he was fast, but kept on getting in incidents. Yeah, and Lucas obviously had his race team, so he couldn't have the race team and run the family business as well because that would just be way too stressful. And that's why Phil Munday bought out Lucas, was because he just didn't think Lucas needed that sort of pressure on him. 2010, Paul was going to retire. Okay. Then post Gold Coast, he started cooking. Yeah, and obviously he was at Polar Tassie, got the win at Sandown, ninth in the championship. Maybe not. Yeah, well, sometimes ninth isn't as big a result as they think. Sandown wins Saturday, Pole Sunday, and what Polar Tassie as well. Did you get Polar Tassie? I think he got pole both times. Paul Dumbrell. I reckon he did. I reckon he got both because 2011 was a dud year because he came 21st in the championship. But I reckon 2010 Lowndes and Tander. Yeah, I'm looking. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Okay. Podium Tassie, win Sandown, pole Sandown the next day. Then the next year pole Tassie. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, 2011 was like you're following up a decent year with a not very good year. So good thing he retired because he was just getting involved in too many incidents. I think we're done looking at old mate here. Post Gold Coast started doing good again. Okay. Where we're looking. We're just one P4 here. 13th, 12th. I don't know if other people punted him off or something, or he qualified well because he could pull a lap out of his ass and do a good job. Then he was at the front. Yeah, I think even at Gold Coast, there were times where he was really good. And maybe it was here. It was 2010. Got in trouble. Yeah. Jamie Whincup says you make your own luck. You know, if you keep getting involved in incidents. Oh, his co-driver crashed. Was that Vilna? I think Vilna crashed one. Might have been 2012 though, I'm thinking of. Uh, 2010 was Vilna. Yeah, I knew Vilna was in there somewhere in the Bottle car. Yeah, so that must have been that first race. Because I remember going through the stats and being like, holy crap, Paul Dumbrell was like the fastest FPR car for some reason. 2011 was Heidfeld. Okay, yeah, nice. Both crashed at the start of the race. Oh boy, washed. Well, you do wonder how much practice those guys actually got. Still, Gold Coast. I think the Drivers Only podcast. Oh, Hypel wasn't his fault. Okay. The Drivers Only podcast with Anton, Cooper, Jacob Brock, and who else? Got spun at the back chicane. Oh yeah. They were saying what's the toughest track to come into. And they said it was not. I think it was them. So it was not Adelaide. It'd be Gold Coast. It was either them or Lucky Dogs, or is there another podcast that's coming out? I think it's just those two. Yeah, I think it was Gold Coast. They just said that Gold Coast is the toughest track to come into. So it makes me want to watch those international ones because it just seems nuts. To think, yeah, we'll just chuck these retired Formula One drivers in to a category that most people aren't. Most foreigners struggle when they jump into it, and then just watch the carnage. Became budget based. Okay. So like the top teams could afford the really good drivers, yeah, and like FPR could afford them as well, yeah, because like they would get Will Power and Mika Salo and stuff like that. The rest just got the rest. Yeah, they just got like the most. You'd see by the end of the 34 laps. The gas was crazy. Oh man, it makes me want to watch it now. I've been watching 2015 just a bit. I like having racing going on in the background. It's my working noise. I just need like a noise that's something I don't have to focus on. Borday was just destroying them. Oh yeah, yeah, in the Triple Eight car. Was it 2011? I think I was gonna say Simon Pagino, but he might not have been. He had that weird steering style. God, makes me want to watch Gold Coast. 2011 and 12 at AAA. Okay, nice. Yeah, I think we're done looking at Dumbrell. I think one day I could do a full video about Dumbrell because he's an interesting case study. To be like, how crap was Paul Dumbrell? We got a bit of Peter Brock research going on here. Actually, I think we're done with old mate. Looking at how Brocky was doing. I'll show my current work. I think I just shared the. Hang on, I need to put this in the right spot so I can see the chat. Going back on the monster thing, yeah. They took Wingcup to court, right? I remember 2012 he had Monster on his helmet. Is it because of Red Bull? Is that because? So, was he under like contract? Yeah? You gotta tell me. Yeah. And so that he's just gone, nope, and they've gone, no, you can't just cut contract like that. You're on a fucking big money contract. Oh, damn. Maybe that's how they went on the Tickford. And so he's pissed. First few rounds into 2013, he ran a sponsorless helmet. Oh, really? I gotta pay attention to that. I didn't notice. Ah, I'm watching. I'm up to Perth 2015, and I don't know what happened in qualifying in the first race at Perth, but he's down the back and he doesn't. He's picking his way through, but I'm like, what happened? Because I know that like bright red helmet. Oh yeah, yeah. Hang on, I'll see if I can find that. 2015 Wing Cup just had a stinker. Well, they talked about qualifying at one point. They said that qualifying wasn't very good. 2013 Chevy Cup helmet. Images. Maybe this is, yeah, it is like red and black. This one, I think. Yeah, look, it looks definitely 2013. So yeah, no, it's still got like some minor sponsors, Toshiba, Komatsu, but those are team sponsors. He did have sponsors, yeah. But it depends when it was, I suppose, as well. But obviously later, they've recolored the entire thing and put Red Bull on it and done everything like that. But I mean, what year is this? Is that 20? It might not be 2013 because obviously it's 2012. Set to change every window record. The second row. The second. Uh, hang on, this one. This one's 2013. So by Bathurst, he had it. Hang on. I'll go slow for you. This one we're on now? So yeah, we've got the red one. This is up one. So this is the one that I was on. No, hang on. What's the race that he's got? That's more recent. To the left. Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, that one. Okay. That's very different from what he had earlier. Yeah, I remember that. I think he had a Bathurst. That's probably what I know it from. He had a lot of different helmets, and he doesn't always keep the same design. I think towards the back end of his career, had a more consistent design. Yeah, I think a lot of drivers update their helmets every year. Well, it's not. That's good. Like sometimes I'm like that as well with the helmets. Not with Wing Cup. Texas. Yeah, you can tell by the podium. Yeah, that says Circuit of the Americas. Not a lot of drivers I'm good at telling the year from the helmet. I can tell like the liveries, and the race suits as well. The first race with the helmet. Okay, yeah, maybe because Coda was pretty early in the year. It was like, was it the third or fourth round? Well, it was a fifth round. And I remember the journalists saying, "This is how many points everyone's got," and they're all like, "What does that mean? I don't care. Like, what position am I in the championship? You're just saying numbers at me." 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, yeah, nice. I can't think. After Perth. Okay, yeah. It's an interesting season. Just having, like, I think BJR weren't quite as good, but the championship standings were really interesting to see. Lowndes passed Scaife's win record. Oh, okay, yeah. And then Lowndes spent all of 2015 almost getting a win until he finally got one at Darwin. Or did he get one? No, he got two at Tassie, and then for a few rounds he couldn't get another one, and then he got the one at Darwin, right? Because I said he dominated Tassie. The races are so short, like 34 laps or something. Brr, 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 brr. Um, Tassie had like 34 lap races. I just watched Tassie the last few days. Having it on in the background. Yeah, Tassie 2015. I think he got the first 2 wins, and then Whincup got the third win because that was when Lowndes punted Reynolds, and then had the drive through. Oh, it might have been. I can't remember the exact laps, but um, the first 2 laps I thought were really short. I think Perth 25 laps, 100-kilometer race. Yeah, I don't remember. I don't remember. So I'm going back through like old Australian Touring Car Championship races. They did really long races. They're doing like 50 laps at Oran Park. Perth 25 laps? No way. Yeah, 2015. It's 2015. 2015. It's like 25 laps. 2015 Perth Supercars. Alright, does it say? Does it say it all? Yeah, 25 laps, 83 laps. So I was like, gee, because Garth came in with a puncture in the first race, and not a puncture, steering, rear upright damage, and I was like, "There's no way you're fixing that. What is the point of the race?" I know, right? I was kind of surprised anyone was getting some passes done, but some people were getting it done. It wasn't a bad race at all for 50K. Yeah, oh, that's what they were doing. 2013 to was it 13 to 15, or was it? It's definitely like 14 and 15. It was just like short races, the first like Saturday races, and then the big Sunday race. And then they did the reverse of that during COVID. Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember what Tassie was. Um, I think it was like, yeah, 34 laps because obviously it was just such a short track. Oh yeah, 25 laps, 84 laps. Yeah, so I was wrong. All right. Yeah. Interesting times. Davison has like no luck so many times at the start of 2015. The car keeps on breaking, and then he keeps getting punted, and he's just having like the worst time. Yeah, well, some tracks 25 laps works, but other tracks it doesn't really do anything. I think Davison gets spun by Courtney Tassie every year. Yeah. Well, that's Tassie, right? Someone gets spun at Tassie every year. It just happens to be that somehow Davison outqualifies Courtney at Tassie every year. um, there he is, Davison doing an amazing job. Obviously, gets Courtney off the line, goes up into third. Courtney bumps him, and they done. Yeah, yeah, and they had words in the pits. Yeah. And apparently Davison refused to have a rivalry with Courtney. He refused to have like a photo with them, like nose to nose. So, Will Davison is why we can't have rivalries in supercars. No, people are too nice. Because it's dumb. Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had such manufactured shit. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like, yeah, it's just rubbish. People saying, "Oh, they don't have rivalries like they used to." They didn't used to have rivalries. What are you talking about? They just had hard heads racing hard, and then maybe they don't like each other. It's meant to be two front of the field drivers, not midfield drivers. Yeah, Well, the midfield drivers are battling each other all the time. The top drivers, like they're just like they've got such such differences in machinery that they can't keep up with one another. So they're just like sitting pretty, barely racing. It's the mid pack where it's at. That's where people are getting upset with one another. Scotty versus Triple Eight. Oh, yeah, that's a genuine rivalry. That one. That's genuine. And yeah, emphasis Scotty versus Triple Eight, not DJR Team Penske versus Triple Eight, because Fabian was hardly there. It was the 1.5 car team. Still my favourite thing that Whincup said, I think. Whincup said some funny things over the years. Scotty still won, and he was on his own. Yeah, well, Scotty was just that good, right? He had a good enough car, and they built the entire team around him. Fabian had a good shot in 2017, and then 2018, they just took it all away from him, and they were like, Fabian, you can just keep scoring points and help us get the team's championship. Scotty's going for the championship, and we're taking away your engineer as well, and you're not allowed to have your own engineering direction. Proved numerous times. Yeah, well, especially on like double stacks. The sacrificial lamb, they called him. Uh, so there's a short field to stop even when he's in front. Oh, really? Yeah, that's why he was talking shit after they left. After they got rid of him. Scotty don't stack. Yeah. Yeah. The way I do it, what do I do? I change the strategies to be like whoever qualifies up the front. I get if it's like late in the year in championship, if we're talking like Gold Coast and stuff like that, but not like Perth at the start of the year or something. Having Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen as your teammate. Yeah. Well, yeah, obviously Scotty's a freak talent, and Fabian he'd done the time, and he deserved have his time in the sun, and he had 1 year of it, and then 2018, 19, 20, it wasn't allowed to. I think DJR screwed him over. Yeah. Well, I suppose having Lewis Hamilton as your teammate these days, he just qualifies down the back and then towards the front eventually. So he's starting dead last at Vegas today. Uh, Ferrari just sucks. Yeah, well, apparently one of the drivers doesn't suck. So, did they do something wrong with him? Everything about them sucks. Yeah, like no one should drive for that team. They're just it's so unreliable. They're like if they're the team you drive for when you've given up, and that's kind of that's what Lewis has done. He's gone to Ferrari because it's like, hey, I have a chance to drive for Ferrari. And he's like, man, it really sucks here. I really hate driving for this team. And the team are like, shut up and drive. Meanwhile, Charles up the front battling for his life. They refuse to change their ways. Yeah, exactly. They're a terrible team. They don't go, how do we win championships? They never think like that. They think, how do we do anything different? Or hang on, no. How do we Yeah, they're just nuts. That's why he's just like, wishing on a Ferrari result. It's usually just like a pleasant surprise when a Ferrari wins. You don't give it unless the car is capable of winning. Yeah. Second the car gets a sniff of winning. Yeah, but what about last year with Mercedes? Wasn't George beating him all year? The car couldn't win. George was still beating him though. It's still like head to head. The car. So okay. So if the car can win a championship, then Lewis is good. But if it can't win a championship, then Lewis isn't good. Doesn't that say more about about Lewis? It says like, oh, he can't win a championship unless he has the best car. Like, Max Verstappen could win a championship in the fourth best car. But Red Bull's a whole different thing. Mm. They cannot. What is the best? So the best car at the moment is what? The McLaren. Is the McLaren still the best car? I think it is. When yeah, because both drivers, if I think Piastri should have been able to. There shouldn't be a championship fight. But between Max shouldn't be close. Yeah, at all. I mean, that makes it sound like Max isn't good enough. I think it's Max being good. Like, obviously, they've designed the car around him, and no one else can drive the other one. It's McLaren being ass, yeah. And there's so much politics with who's being prioritized and stuff like that. It's so annoying. How many mistakes have they both made? Or Piastri and Norris? I don't know. I haven't paid too much attention this year. Still getting away with it. Yeah, well, that's what happens when you get a top team. You just being up ahead in the points means you can get away with things. You don't get the win one day, you drop to fifth. You're as fast as 2022 Max. But not 23 Max. But they're not up the road. No. I think obviously if they didn't have two top drivers taking points off one another, 22 Max to 18 wins. Well, 23 was his dominant year. 22, Ferrari were up the front for the first half, where Charles was getting a lot of wins and a few wins and poles. Yeah, 23. Yeah. Where it was just like every time the race finished, it was like, oh, did Max win? Yeah, of course he did. Yeah, so 2023 Max, he was just far and away better than everyone. Because they're taking points off each other. Why not? Nico and Lewis were teammates for 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. They're still taking points off one another and they never had this issue. Oh, okay. So like no one else was even remotely close. In 2014, 15, 16. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the details. I have seen there are videos of people explaining what's going on, and where the mistakes are being made. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about Formula One, especially this year. Just mediocre drivers. Yeah, they're not. They're not. I mean, like Lando was pretty good in 2019. But maybe the car wasn't that bad. It was a top 10 car. George the most out of all of them. Yeah, I think George does a very good job. Just selfish at the wrong times. Yeah. Orlando did a pretty good job qualifying in the wet at Vegas last night. He did a very good job. Shows his hand too early. Yeah, George is just he's just open. Doesn't play politics too easily. Or it doesn't what do you call it? Car isn't winning and he will die for sixth place. Yeah. Well, that's what the team wants, right? But if he causes himself an incident and then gets knocked out of sixth, then you're meant to be the nice guy when the car can. Then when the car can win a championship, you show your hand. But you got to show that you want to fight for it. You want to fight for the results. You can't just be like, oh, everyone's just cruising around behind one another, having a good time, and oh no, you sir, after you, and then when you're qualifying on pole and winning races, then you're like, everybody stay away from me. Oh, Sometimes it's okay to not die for that six, so it don't mean anything. I mean, how many points you get for six? 8 points? It's not too bad. He's crashed pushing too hard. Yeah, yeah. Oh, he crashed at what race was it? Was it Vegas 23? Singapore. Hit the wall. Yeah. Late in the yeah, that's the one where who was it? Was it Carlos won or was it I think Carlos won or was it Lando won? Should have let Lewis through. Yeah, Carlos won because that's the one with the DRS thing, whatever he's doing with Lando. Lando was in second. Yeah. And then there was George pushing hard behind and then hit the wall. There were a couple crashes late in that one. Let's Lewis through. We can make the way for both. I don't know. I don't remember. I thought the gaps were bigger. George thinks he can win every race when clearly he can't. Isn't it better to think that though? It's better to think that you can do it than to drive like it's not going to happen. No. Teammate is a better strategy. Yeah. Well, the team should say to the drivers, "Let your teammate through." That's what they should do. That's what I do on F1 Manager. I'm like, this guy's faster. He can get us a better result. Get out of the way. Let the other guy through. Merc was on bullshit with Lewis at the end. Yeah. Drama. Lewis is a bit of drama. But I'll show. Hang on, what am I gonna do? Get rid of Tazzy. Get rid of Jamie thing there, and I'll show my Peter Brock presentation. I'm not too far into it, so we've just got the 70s. Apparently, that's all I've got at the moment. So, 1973, they had. I mean, Holden Dealer team was OP throughout the 70s. They were just that good. They were insane. But they're just qualifying up the front, or Brock is qualifying up the front. His teammates not so much. Usually it's just one car. And just disqualified, fuel pressure failure, disqualified. And that's why he came second in the championship to Alan Moffat. 74. A lot of hot take about elite drivers from those eras. Okay, yeah, go, shoot. Because obviously a lot of cars from there's a lot of disqualifications, mechanical issues, and not everybody had equal cars. So they're all cheaters. Yeah, well, they might have been. I find it so hard to analyze those times because no one had the same stuff. Like that's why I like looking at the 90s onwards. Think about it. All right, I'm ready to think. They rave about Brick at Bathurst. About Brock at Bathurst. How many laps did he win by that year? 79. It was like 6 laps, right? Yeah. And I'm like, no one can do that these days because it's impossible to have a car that good. That's cheating. Yeah. Um, but I think the only person who could have taken it to Peter Brock back then was Bob Morris in the other Tirana and Alan Moffat if he actually had the funds to do it. So I think there would have been a DNF for someone else. The closest rival would have had a mechanical issue because that used to happen a lot. Bob Morris won the 79 championship in a Tirana. Beat Brock. Is he having issues? No, I think it's close. But yeah, things like that. One of his wins, he kicked his own brother out of the car. Yeah, and that was the one that was at 80. There was one where the one that John Harvey has got the Bathurst win. How is that even allowed? Yeah, with Perkins. Okay, so it would have been 80, 81, I think. 80 or 81. No, hang on. 80, no, it can't have, hang on. It can't have been 81. He won 78 to 80, and then he won 82 to 84. So I think it might have been 80, 82, but I can't remember exactly. I'm not very good at knowing Peter Brock stuff. But yeah, I remember John Harvey has a Bathurst win, and that's because Peter Brock's car broke down, and so he jumped in the other car and won Bathurst with it. Old people hold on to nostalgia and storytelling more than the facts. Yeah. It's not. It's kind of impossible to know for sure how good someone was if people um didn't have the equal machinery and they didn't have teammates, so you didn't even know if they were actually that much better than anyone. And so we didn't really have that until um, the late 80s and through the 90s and onwards, when teams were more often had teammates and had full time 2 drivers. It was a lot rarer. Definitely early 80s. The skill gap. Yeah, well, there's definitely just random schmoes driving around in cars as well. The skill gap. I mean, it's just it wasn't necessarily as competitive as it is these days because you're gonna think back in the 70s, it's just whoever could afford to do it did it. It's not necessarily because like there weren't really any hoops you had to hop through to drive in the Australian Touring Car Championship. He's the goat, blah blah blah. Yeah, exactly. I find that very difficult to assess. That's why I just thought it'd be interesting to look at Peter Brock, mainly because I want to get up to the 90s. Yeah, a turn to take. Yeah. Mm. Watching since 2006. I was so wrong. I'm sorry. All right. What are you thinking? What are your thoughts on Tanda now? He stinks. Oh, he was better at qualifying than a lot of guys for a long time. But I reckon bottom of tier 2. Think about it. don't know. Because a lot of his teammates weren't close enough. Race winning and championship machinery for a good 5-6 years of his career. So what? 2006, 7, 8, 9. I don't know if they had the machinery. Well, oh wait, maybe. 09, 09 they had issues a year. Oh yeah, in 2000, but it's peak HRT, and you got Lowndes and Scaife. Lowndes had issues at times, and Scaife was doing an incredible job. So I think peak Scaife versus a young up and coming Garth Tander. Um, yeah, that's why I find it hard to say that Scaife wasn't good enough, because Scaife was equal to or better than most of the people most of the time. 2010 he had machinery. Okay, well he won the Adelaide 500. He came fifth in the championship. He stunk it up. But too many mistakes, team issues. I can find my Garthander one. 2011 he was asked, but he had 2 big race wins, so it looks okay. Yeah, I think I heard they said they're having a bad year, and then they go, oh no, it's you have a bad year, and 2012 don't even start. Oh, why does it do this? It's so annoying. There you go, it's fine. It was the HRT days where he's ass. Really? I'm gonna look at the stats for Garth Vander. Because I still say head-to-head qualifying and race performances, he was doing a great job. 06 he was unlucky. 07 he got it done. 08, Lowndes has more wins, more championships, and more Bathursts. Yeah. But Lowndes also had top-line equipment for a long time and couldn't beat Whincup. Lowndes had the same journeyman story. Lowndes has not had a journeyman story. Lowndes had a few years in the wilderness at Ford, and then he went to Triple Eight. Got a solid team. Yeah, and he was back up the front. That's a journeyman. But Lowndes started at HRT. A journeyman starts in a lower team and makes his way to a top team. Yeah, 4 years of BS. But like, you can't say he's a journeyman if he starts at the Holden Racing team when they're at the top of the game and he immediately wins championship in his rookie season. In the same sort of way that you can't say Mark Scaife was a journeyman because he drove for 2 teams and they were both factory teams and the best teams of their area. Can't say Triple Eight isn't a part of it. Well, Triple Eight weren't a top team in 2004 when he signed for them. Because they were fast, but they weren't reliable and able to win races. Because even I don't think Max Wilson got any podiums, but Radicic got a couple. So they had fast cars, but they did not have reliable cars or necessarily very good drivers. Yeah, I'd say a guy like I've seen Cameron McConville talked about as a journeyman driver because he was at a lot of different teams. Can count the numerous second places. Yeah, Lowndes is definitely one of the all-time greats. when you're at a top team, when you're at the best team, coming second. I'll bring out my little tier list. Where is it? I'll stop sharing that. I'll bring up my little. I don't know if this thing is gonna like being shared, but who's the best? It's just a little notepad thing. How's that look? It's okay. It's kind of broken, but it's okay. Scotty Mac, SVG, Wink Up and Lowndes. I find it so hard to compare Scotty Mac with anyone else because he only had 1 year with a competitive teammate, and that was 2017 Fabian Coulthard. Every year at GRM, he didn't have a good enough teammate, and then Fabian got screwed over at DJR. So I find it kind of really hard to put him. Obviously, Scotty's one of the best, but it's kind of hard to say if he's equal to or better than Van Gersberg and Winkup, or Lowndes, or Scaife. I think it matters when you're winning. Yeah, but if you're in a top team that wins races, then you're going to be winning races. The question is whether you're better than your teammate or better than other great drivers who can also win races or do win races at that time. Like, there's other top teams, so Triple Eight were the same level, and he was killing them. Yeah, yeah, but I think it's just difficult. I think Triple Eight were the better team. Scotty was obviously faster as a driver. He was one of the fastest drivers we've ever had in supercars. Obviously got an incredible number of pole positions, and it took Scotty within in a 7-year career racked up 70 odd pole positions, and then left for IndyCar. Winkup took many, many years to do that. So yeah, I definitely Scott McLaughlin is one of the all-time greats in qualifying trim, and he got like 50 wins as well. Got was it 17 wins in 2019? Not quite as many. I think it was like 9 in 2018. Don't think it compares to. It was like 5 billion races one weekend. What? Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. You can stack up the poles because there were multiple races. Although 2017 there wasn't that many. That weren't that many races. 2018 there were more rounds. There was like 16 rounds. Wink Up was like 2 races or 1 session. 2018 there was like 31 races. 2019 was like 30 races. So if you're getting pole position every second race, like getting like 13 pole positions every year, yeah, it can easily rack up those sorts of numbers. Like Feeney this year. Yeah, we've got multiple. The more races there are, the more chances there are that you can have the most pole positions and most race wins. Obviously. That's why it was more impressive back when there was progressive grids, because you only had the one qualifying session, and if you had a bad first race, then a bad first race or you didn't qualify well, it was struggle street. And so to see like Mark Winterbottom get the pole award in 2007, that was really impressive. But yeah, I would put. Hang on, I would put Scaife up here. He used to be that guy in qualifying. Yeah, for sure. I'd put in. I don't know if I want to put Frosty up there. I'd put Scott McLaughlin up there. I want to put Ambrose up there, but he sort of screwed himself over with his stats. Qualifying was never win cup strong, so no way in hell Frosty goes up there. I think Ambrose is table one. I think so. Ambrose was like the Scott McLaughlin of his time, except maybe Scotty would have been better. Made that AU look half decent. Yeah, well, Stone Brothers and a freak talent in Marcus Ambrose, who was dedicated, got it done. Spanking Scave. Yeah. It's sort of funny because Ambrose was like, he was the best AU driver, and then he's like, yeah, the AU just wasn't that great. But as soon as he got a BA, he was just like, he was doing such a good job. Tanner got to go from tier one. What? Why? One championship? He should have won it in 06, but he didn't do anything wrong. 08 maybe, but I don't know what happened in if something went wrong in 08. Everyone else is a multi-year champ. Yeah, but it's not about how many championships you win. It's about how good you were. He sold in 08. We'll see. I'll have a look at 08. Because something happened at Adelaide. Something went wrong. Has shown that he's not that guy. I mean, it looks pretty good here at Bahrain. He had that win cup 07. Oh, yeah. What the hell happened there? That doesn't look good. What did he do? It looks like he didn't have much pace in that second race. And the third, so yeah, issue in the first one, issue in the third one. And crashed. Okay, yep. With his teammate. Crashed into Scaife. Oh, no. Scaife was a bit crash happy in 08. And like rode himself out of entire weekends. Yeah, I'd have to do more of a deep dive one day to see like what exactly happened. But I don't know what the hell happened. They had a whole round on Win Cup, did they? So before Bahrain, and just dumped points, and I guess Bahrain Win Cup smashed him at Bahrain, and then got himself back in. And then Tassie does not look good. What the hell happened there? Still won before the last two races. Won like 7 in a row. Yeah, Tassie, Tander on pole, dropped to 20th up to 8th. He should have been winning at Tassie. Got to the hairpin. Went wide. Okay. Couldn't find reverse. Went lap down. Damn. How do you go a lap down in that car? Because it's obviously fast enough to win races and get pole positions and just throw it all away like that. Yeah. Sitting there for Young's trying to find reverse. So not easy to find reverse in a supercar. It's not. It doesn't like reverse. Getting to see it like supercars will always struggle to get into reverse. He's using two hands too. Yes, still not working. It's like every driver struggles with that. Every driver, I think. Yeah, you got Adelaide. You got. Yeah, Adelaide, Bahrain, and Tassie. Wink up Miss Hamilton and Tanda swept Hamilton. Yeah, they probably got him into the lead of the championship. Or at least back in the conversation. Because Whincup won Adelaide. Don't know if he won Eastern Creek because it looks like Tanda had a couple of good results there. Whincup wasn't the Whincup we know yet. He didn't. Right. Well, Whincup won the Adelaide 500 though in 2008, or he at the very least won the Sunday. Davison. Oh yes, Davison. Yes. And Winterbottom. Oh yeah. Got to remember Winterbottom was in there as well. At Sydney. Yeah. Eastern Creek. Right. Yeah, we're cooking. Winko won both Adelaide races, but I don't think he was like he's winning the championship. Yeah. Well, he hadn't done it yet, so he didn't know if he could do it. Sydney, he was mid. Oh, really? Okay. I have been thinking about. I want to do a Lowndes and Scaife, Lowndes and Wing Cup comparison from. I mean, it was just do like a whole Wing Cup career thing. Perth was actually good. He just qualified really bad. Okay. And oh wow, he must have done something in qualifying then. Not got a lap done. Had an issue. Got held up on his lap. First race back from that crash. Well, he was okay, wasn't he? He wasn't actually injured or anything. Oh, yeah, like the car. Maybe it wasn't quite up to scratch. Yeah, but 09, I know Garth had steering failure there, and then just not. I mean, he's out qualifying, Davo. Don't know if the car was written off. It might have been. I don't know if he got a new car or not. It looks like the 09 car was definitely a car that could win the championship or battle for the championship. But something happened in this first race at Hamilton. Qualified crappy in the second race. Steering failure first race at Adelaide. Second race at Tassie, not good. What the hell happened at the first race at Sandown? Engine failure at Queensland. Just no pace at Queensland apparently. And then on the clawback, performance during the year wasn't great. Don't look great. Queensland used the soft on the Saturday, and then had an engine failure. Also, because he used the soft on the Saturday, can't use the soft on the Sunday. Okay, so you just choose what race you're going to do. Maybe they both had soft because Davo was got the win from pole and then came second in the second race after having the from pole. So, oh, that was Sandown. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, David engine failure. Yeah, well, they both had engine failures. And Davo got the win. That one. Yeah, but I think just Garth was just on the clawback all year until he had like a nice stretch here, Phillip Island onwards. Wickup would always use soft on the Saturday and get the easy race win. Yeah, it's like Michael Caruso got it at Darwin. I don't really like the mixed compound stuff. I'd much prefer just like everyone's got this tire. Whoever does the best job wins. It's the same points. Yeah. 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 I think trying to mix things up. Why not do less for more? Yeah. You like mixed compounds? I don't like when it feels like it's a cheap result, like it's a cheap win. Because it kind of takes away from the result. Like Anton De Pasquale's win at Darwin for Erebus, and James Courtney's podium at Darwin for Tickford, and you want to see them legitimately do it. Or Todd Hazelwood's podium for BJR. Like, it was a mixed compound though. The Darwin one was Courtney and De Pasquale used the softs, and they got the win. No, it wasn't less tires until Townsville, and that was when they had an issue because they didn't have enough tires to do both rounds. So like, yeah, this is what you've got. They actually use mixed compounds. They're like, all right, you get to use softs. And that was just COVID. That was just what they had to do to make things work. But yeah, it wasn't great. Could have just done less races. But yeah, it's not. Although I think no, that they did have. I think it was at Sydney Motorsport Park. They didn't have the right, because I remember you'd have like McLaughlin and Wingcup down the back or SVG down the back because they didn't have. They qualified on the crap tire, and then, or was it after the pits? Yeah. Can't remember the details. Scotty would piss you off. Still getting on the podium. Well, not when he's starting down the back on shit tires. Because I think Scotty used to qualify up the front. I think sometimes on shit tires. Well, because everyone was on shit tires. So if everyone's on shit tires, everyone's on equal tires. He's on shit tires at the start, so he's falling back. Yeah. But everybody had to pick and choose them. So you start with the shit tires, and then you put a good set on or a better set on at the pits. Yeah, I think that's what they did. His shit race was like a 10th. Yeah, they were clever. I saw. Well, let's look at 2010. A lot of mechanical issues here for Garth. That's what everyone used to be mad about Wing Cup for. But it wasn't just Wing Cup. It was everyone on the board for that stuff. Wing Cup was just on that board because he was a representative of Triple Eight. Wing Cup's shit day was still top 5. Oh, okay, yeah. Because he was just that good. I mean, it's like, why would you be mad about someone being just really good? Just, get good yourself. That's what I say. Don't get mad, get even. The Garth starting the year shit on the clawback. Shit one at Winton. Darwin not good. Crash at Gold Coast. Not sure what happened there. That's the one where he went in the first chicane, right? Today's 20th. How is he still fifth? They're just clever. Clever with the tyres. And Sandown. What the hell happens there? No wonder he came fifth in the championship. It's atrocious. Because he's still qualifying really well. Crash race 1. Oh, hang on. This is race 1, 2010 Sydney. What am I thinking? They're all on the fence. Dumbrell goes off first corner. Come back on. What at Abu Dhabi? Turned his exhaust, flat tire. I think it started with qualifying 29th. Or starting in the pit lane or whatever happened. Oh, it's Sandown. Oh, okay, yeah. Damn. Yeah, well. Yeah. DQ. Oh, okay. He did something wrong. Yeah. Yeah, well, like some bad races, bad qualifying. Just drops him down the order. Got in a crash. Won the second race. I finished my coffee. While he was second, oh my god. Wait, he was second at Abu Dhabi? Like in the first race? My god. God know how that happened. Wow. Second race. Yeah, they say wheel hub failure. I'm like, a wheel doesn't fail. What happened? Like steering doesn't just fail as well. Like you just bumping into people, getting damage. Racing too hard. He didn't touch anyone. What, he hit a chicane, hit a curb, and just the thing failed. Huh. And then, meanwhile, in the other car, the other garage, just having the worst time of his life, qualifying terribly at times, but not too badly. Just no pace at times. Crashes. Oh my god, what a nightmare year for HRT, man. I mean, 06 was just like they should have won the championship, but they couldn't because things just kept going wrong for Scafey. Oh my god. You know, this is why I'm glad I wasn't a HRT fan, is because of just things like that. But I was a Murph fan, so I know the pain. The philosophy became outdated. I mean, just have the best car win the championships. Because they weren't necessarily like a factory team like they used to be. They weren't running like the latest Holden bits. By 2010. Didn't have any competition. Yeah. They didn't have any competition and they had the best drivers. So it was just pretty easy. I noticed HRT have had more 1-2s than Triple Eight have ever had. Funding the same level as them. Yeah. No one else was anywhere near that level. And then other teams caught up. Well, did other teams catch up? Stone Brothers got good. Stone Brothers got really good. And then Triple Eight came along, started spanking everyone. Came back with HSV, yeah. Well, HSV used to be Kmart, and Kmart was good as well, so yeah, go to HSV. So then they had one car in 2008 that had a shot at the championship. So I said, all right, we'll take it from here. Yeah, because Triple Eight know how to do it. Get good drivers, get good people, build good cars, win championships. And then people will want to buy your cars, so you sell them the cars. And then you make them money. And that's I mean, Dencar used to build. They were failing with Lowndes, so hit the jackpot with Wing Cup. I mean, Lowndes was still a really good benchmark for Wing Cup. 05, 06, 07. But 07, obviously, Wing Cup started to get better than Lowndes, so. Yeah. We don't really need to look at it the rest of the time. I don't know. I have with my Greg Murphy stuff, I've got stats that are like Murph. Oh, yeah. Yes, he was, but I don't think the car would evolve into what it is now without Wing Cup. Yeah, well, Wing Cup was obviously a lot more picky with what he wanted. And he would be like, there's a vibration, this doing this, this doing that. The Lowndes would go like, it's fine, it's all right, I'll drive around it and put up with things, but Wing Cup wouldn't put up with anything. And so they had to make sure the cars were squeaky clean with no issues. And that's how you have a bulletproof car. And a professional team they are now, that's right. They listen to their drivers and do what the drivers are saying. Yeah. Cubs ways drilled into them. Yep. But I had like percentages for Greg Murphy for the number of bad races. So basically any race where he lost positions or had a DNF or crashed or anything like that. And so some years it'd be like 45%. So I could do the same thing with Garth Tander, have those sorts of percentages and be like, well, how many times did he actually have a bad race? Second down to third isn't the worst possibility, but it's not great. And when the further you are up the front, the easier it is to fall back as well. All you have to do is just not get the start right and have a little hiccup in the pit stop, or someone dive bombs you, so you just got to let them through. Circumstance matters, so it's really hard to data trace. Yeah, and you got to be sort of open about things and be like, you can't. What'd you delete that one for? You change your mind about that one, or did you accidentally do it? Drivers like Tander and Murphy. Excellent. Yeah, it's okay. Tander and Murphy. yeah. I don't know. So I don't know. I'm an old man. I just break things by accident all the time. They're driving the 90s. Yeah. No footage to see what happened. Not as many in-car cameras, and they didn't increase that until like Car of the Future era. That was when they had cameras everywhere. Because you look at like 2009. I see his career from start to finish. Yeah. Also, 2011. Yep. We have a jumper in here. From like Phillip Island. Okay. I don't know where the broadcast had a super HD camera. Oh wow. Okay. In Winterbottom's car. Oh wow. That'd be nice to watch. Put that one up on the TV. Look awesome. In Bright's car. Yeah. Yeah, they liked Brighty in 2011. Oh, 2015. And then Wing Cup got it at Bathurst. Yeah, 2015. Greg Rust is like obsessed with Ash Walsh. He just won't shut up about him. I'm like, why are you talking about Ash Walsh? He's nowhere near the front. So engine note sounds so different. Oh, okay. Because I know at some stage it's like, okay, all of a sudden it doesn't sound like V8 supercars. It sounds like modern supercars. And I thought that was just something, whatever they did with the technology changing or car of the future or something. Because it just sounded like 2006 for a long time. And then it just sounds like a vacuum cleaner after that. The old one sounds grainy. Yeah, we sort of like the grainy though. We're like, "Arrgh!" And then you got the new one. It's like, that's what it sounds like. See the Lounge on board, then go to Wing Cup. Yeah. Doesn't sound like someone's using an angle grinder all the time. Yeah. I think there's a lot of nostalgia for that thing. That's why no one watches supercars anymore, because they got a super HD camera. And they only ever left at those cars. Only Wing Cup and Winterbottom had it for 2012. Okay. Don't remember Bright though. Yeah, well, Bright wasn't really doing anything impressive in 2012. It was all about Fabian, so. Because Fabian was getting pretty good. You can actually, we're in 2011. Fabian got more top 10s than James Courtney in 2011. That's how bad a year JC was having. Like Fabian was doing a pretty good job. That's why he went to BJR and beat Brighty. Yeah. Do I have Fabian in? Where do I have him in my tier list? I'm gonna save that. I don't know where I put Fabian. Tier second or third. Bright does the groundwork for the team and never reaps rewards. Yeah, that's what they used to say about Brighty. Like I said, HRT could have stuck around and maybe won a championship. PWR maybe could have stuck around, one championship. FPR could have stuck around, one championship. But he always just wanted to move on to the next thing or circumstances around what was going on. He wants to go do that. I think he didn't really have much of a say in the move for 03. But when he moved to FPR, that was because he wanted to have his own team. And then when he left FPR, it's because he wanted to work on his own team. So, yeah, there's choices you make. Where would I put Fabian? Feels kind of crazy to think about putting Fabian in the second tier, but mm, but I feel like he's pretty damn good in the third tier. But there's guys like I've got Paul Dumbrell in the same tier as Greg Murphy and Stephen Richards when they're obviously better than him. Um, Drivers and tiers that feel disrespectful. Yeah, well, I got Nick Percat down in the third tier. That feels a bit rude. Murphy cannot be into tier 3. I don't know if he's second tier though, because he got whipped by Rick in 04. And then he didn't have very good teammates in 05. He got whipped by Jason Richards, so Percat is tier 3. Really? Percat was good at Walkinshaw in 14, good at LDM, and good at BJR. So, and good at MSR. Got Scott Pye tier 2. Yeah, I think having Scott Pye in tier 2 might be a bit of a fish out of water there. Maybe even having. I mean, Rick Kelly was still very good, so it's kind of hard to take him out of that. His name with Peter Brock. Yeah, that's a bit crazy. It's kind of hard to say because, yeah, well, Fabian beat Scotty, and then Scotty beat Frosty. Scotty beat JC. It was about even. Rick is good there. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm not. Maybe Reynolds is good. Scott Pye though, you got to think about like where Scott Pye was and how well he did. Like when he was at Penske with Fabian beat him. And when he was at Walkinshaw with JC, it was pretty even. Feeney tier 2. I think Feeney deserves tier 2. Hasn't beaten his teammate yet. Yeah, well, that was sort of the way I had it. I was just sort of putting them in different tiers based on who's beaten their teammate. That's why I've got Scott Pye up there, which I don't know. I sort of put him at about the same level as Winterbottom. Hasn't beaten his teammate yet. It's 0 to 3. Are you talking championship or are you talking like qualifying and race results? Because that's sort of where it gets like Feeney was out qualifying SVG in 23. And SVG was getting more race results. Yeah. So if it's championship can be very circumstantial. You can just have a bunch of things out of your hand going wrong, mechanical issues, bad pit stops, someone spearing into the back of you. Those sorts of things are not necessarily reflective of talent. And that's sort of what I'm trying to look at is like, how do you know if they're actually good if people keep crashing into them and the things keep going wrong? It's positional though. What do you mean? The front, you stay away from the drama. Yeah. And it depends if you're in a car that's good enough to qualify at the front. So like when I look at James Courtney when he was at Tickford, he had the opportunity to be qualifying up the front with Cam Waters, but he wasn't doing it. So that made me think he wasn't quite good enough. It's good, but some drivers' strengths are different. Yeah, well, some drivers are better at qualifying. Some drivers are better at staying out of trouble in races, smarter in races. Some drivers are a bit more aggressive, make mistakes. Like, I'd say like a Michael Caruso watching, 2015, I'm like, "He's a bit aggressive. He's kinda losing himself, results by getting involved in a bit of biffo." Um 'Cause they used to say that Courtney was, like, one of the fastest drivers. And he still can pull a lap out. Um, but in, like, 2023, he had 1 top 10 shootout, and there were too many times in 23 where even though, like, just versus his teammates was struggling, like, he should have been beating Randall, but, yeah, I think he was past it by that stage. So then you go to the worst team on the grid, and then you look good again, but, sometimes it's like you're in a four-car team, and what position in the pecking order you're gonna be in. But, JC would still pick Jack Perkins to be his co-driver even if there were better options, but Jack isn't necessarily the worst co-driver. Um, I think because Stephen Richards got demolished by Frosty, that's why I've got him down in third tier, because he didn't really have very good teammates at Perkins. He had, he was obviously teammates with Murph, and they were pretty even. Teammates with Engel for 1 year, but Engel, uh, Beyonce looking FYE on the F1 channel. On F1 Insta, okay. What's FYE? I don't know what FYE means. Um, Richo's getting cooked by Winnerbottom. Yeah, Richo's getting smashed by Frosty. So that's why I got him down there. Another way of saying fire. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, no worries. Um, yeah. But also, like, I put Rick above Murph because it was like from '04 onwards, and then when Murph was at Kelly's, Rick was beating Murph all the time. David Reynolds was doing a good job against Murph, and I was like, "Wow, it was like Reynolds basically his first year back, 9 and 10. Holy shit, he was fucked." Yeah, well, yeah, Richo was, but they said it was a chassis, and then he got good again from like Gold Coast onwards. Gold Coast 2010, Richo was up the front again, but um, it was just like even in '07 and '08, he wasn't doing a good enough job. So but I put Reynolds up there because I think Reynolds has always done a respectable job. He hasn't been completely demolished by his teammates, apart from this year when Anton's smashing him for some reason. Respectable for you. Yeah. Yeah, well, I think Richo wasn't bad, but he still came 15th in 2010. You could blame the chassis and say things like that, but it's still, mm, I still think he was qualifying further down the field and needed to do a better job. Um, and they kept him for 4 years, which is pretty crazy, especially when they had Bright there. Bright was doing a really good job against Frosty. Why is Webb there? Where have I got Webb? Oh, down in third tier. Webby was good. Webby was good. What, 20? No, I don't know if I've got the results for 2010, but When was Webby good? Webby got podiums at what, Sydney? He got the win at Sydney. He was pretty good in his own team. 2013, I don't know what happened, but from after Austin, he was just a shot duck and he was having a rough time. So that might have been, I don't know what it was, but yeah, Van Gisbergen started just destroying him. He got one win. Yeah, he got one win. It was the most lucky win of all time. Yeah, it was. But he was still getting top 10s and qualifying in the top 10 many times. Not just 2010, but 2012, sometimes in 2011 he was good. Bathurst 2016. Yeah, so don't really count. But just in terms of his solo career, he was pretty competitive. He was just obviously 2011. He was driving. What podium did he have in 2010 or 11? Apart from, I don't think he. Yeah, he didn't have any. Yeah, well, 2010. I think he was just getting top 10s. He got the lucky win, and that was it. 2011, he was running his own team, so he was down the back all season and would occasionally get a good result. But 2012, they had the Triple Eight cars, and so then he was battling up the front more often in the white cars. He had Michael Patrese in the other one. And I think, and that was the year he got a podium at, was it Gold Coast or something? He was always really good at Sydney. So I think he got a podium. 2013, he was also decent. Yeah. Wasn't, then he wrapped it up. Yeah, probably good timing too. He wanted to focus on SVG, focus on the team. Not necessarily that Webby was good at running a team, but when he got the podium in Sydney, yeah. Yeah, I think Webby wasn't too bad at all. So I put him in there. I don't know about having Paul Dumbrell in there because he was kind of mid forever and took forever to get good, took forever to when he had decent machinery, he wasn't doing a good job in it. Getting demolished by his teammates, but that's just hot take. That's not necessarily the stats. So I could have pulled Dumbrell down with Alex Davison, Jack Perkins, Chris Pither, Paul Wheel. No way. Cameron McConville probably doesn't deserve to be down with Paul Wheel, Chris Pither, Jack Perkins. You rate Webb more than Paul. What? You think Jono Webb wasn't as good as Paul Dumbrell? That's crazy. Oh, you can't. Oh, hang on. Oh, hang on. How do I do this? I don't know how to. I don't think I can. Yeah, that's annoying. Sorry. I don't know how to do this. Hang on. There we go. That'll do it. Yeah. And this is a work in progress, of course. So there's plenty of other drivers to chuck in there. Easily was better. What? What? Did I say that Webby was way better than Paul Dumbrell? I don't think so. At least Jonathan Webb jumped in a good car and did a good job. Paul Dumbrell jumped in a good car, did a shit job for 3 years, and then started getting some top 10s. Paul Dumbrell would occasionally do a ridiculous lap and stick the car up somewhere, but then the rest of the time he was rubbish. Tim Blanchard tier 4, what? I mean, Tim Blanchard wasn't that bad. When did he drive for a decent team? He drove for DJR when they were at their worst. He drove for LDM 2015. Drove for BJR, being the third car, 2016 through to 18. When was Blanchard bad? He was a different font, David Wolf. He was, yeah. He's not like the worst though. But obviously fourth tier is down the bottom. I don't know where I'd put people for the fifth tier. Alex Davison was definitely no good. He was really struggling. Tier 4 though. Tier 4 is crazy. I don't think I should have Cameron McConville down there. I think I'm gonna put. I don't know if I want to put McConville in third tier. He was alright. He was good. 15 drivers on the grid right now. Better than him. Better than Blanchard. Is that what you're talking about? I'm gonna put McConville in third tier, I think. Wait. Are you saying that Blanchard's better than everyone except for Cameron McConville? No, you're not saying that. Who are you talking about? There's 15 drivers on the grid right now better than everyone except for McConville. That's what you're saying, I think. Yeah, well, I don't have a lot of current drivers on here. What have I got going? Yeah. So current drivers. Brock Feeney, Will Davison, Dave Reynolds. Yeah. But I don't have most of the grid on this thing, so yeah. Dave Reynolds, Chaz Monster, Cam Waters, James Courtney. I rate Macca Jones more than tier 4. Yeah, well that's why they're tier 4. But I don't. Macca Jones would not belong in third tier, so maybe the guys in fourth tier should be fifth tier then. Alex Davison 2011 was underrated though. Alex Davison had flashes in the pan. Yeah, flashes in the pan. He came 11th in the championship. It was still nowhere near good enough what it needed to be. It seemed with him, because I've got his stuff from Stone Brothers in my SVG one. How good was SVG? There. Am I showing that? Yes. Shit driver full stop. Yeah, so Alex Davison did a lot better than he did in 2010 because that was atrocious. But he was qualifying pretty decently, driving into top 10s, having a pretty good start to the year, and then just dropping a lot of positions, bleeding positions constantly. Just wildly inconsistent, and like he would have flashes in the pan with his pace. When qualifying well, you expect him to do at least what he did. Oh yeah, if he didn't come 11th in the championship, definitely get rid of him. But you'd sign Lee Holdsworth over Alex Davison. And the Stone Brothers stint is like that's the perfect example of seeing whether he was any good. Because Perkins years, he was, yeah, feels so bad for Lee. Yeah. Lee wasn't too good in 2012 though. Do I have Lee on my list? I don't think I do. I might have somewhere. Like Lee was qualifying well because that's just what he does. He's apart from just bit of a mucky stint here, but he was able to drive it up through the field and get better results. But he got back into it. He was like the lead driver in the championship for a while for SBR because things kept going wrong for SVG. And just I can't remember where it was, but just fell apart at some point in the year, and obviously made the mistake of staying at Erebus, but he was under contract, so he stayed. Same deal with Tim Slade. As soon as they could get out, they got out. Lee had a weird thing about he thought they were going to have Volvo for 2015, and when he found out they weren't, then he tore up his contract. But it's like, everyone's got like rose-eyed glasses for the Volvos because they saw one of them being up the front and the other one being at the back. I'm just like, I'm so confused why people think that. Say it was because James Rosenberg. Yeah. Well, actually, no. James Rosenberg ran Nick Percat in 2014. Slady actually didn't have James Rosenberg backing. Well, he might have had some sort of support, but he replaced at Engel in the super cheap car. So that was like a deal with Walkinshaw, not a deal with James Rosenberg. So that's like he finally was able to leave the nest and be his own driver, and rather than relying on James Rosenberg's racing entitlements contract. So yeah, and so he did that, and it lasted a good little while. And then BJR got rid of him, and he came back, and he had another couple of stints, and good on him, and yeah, and then now he's gone, and now he's a good co-driver apparently. So yeah. I might wrap it up because I have to eat. I gotta have a early-ish lunch. I don't really know what time, but yeah. Normally I'd probably go a bit longer. Scott Pye started that. Started what? Drivers realizing the top co-driver role is better than banging around 15th. Yeah. There's probably more of a pattern than we realize. Stephen Richards stayed at FPR because he was like, hey, I know they've shown me the door in full time land, but I'm happy to drive with Frosty at Bathurst because why would you say no to that? And got a Bathurst win. He didn't have a drive. Yeah, well, that's it. But yeah, of it, drivers, yeah, Scott had offers. Yeah, even plenty of full time drivers who were good had opportunities to keep going, but chose not to. I'd say Tim Slade probably didn't have options, but because obviously Slady had been at BRT, so yeah. I think going from full time to co-drivers, but the market's kind of flooded at the moment. There's so many co-drivers are probably missing out. I haven't looked into it, but I think there's a few drivers that are missing out that don't really deserve to miss out. But yeah, we'll see. Shit ones though. Oh yeah, the one Nash Morris better be out. Well, he's not. He's signed, isn't he? They've kept him. What did I say specifically? I can't remember. I ramble. He got another one. Nash got another year with freaking Premier. Yeah, so got rid of Richie for underperforming. Yeah, and they put Juice in the car early. Yeah, there's a fair bit going on. Some co-drivers coming in full time, and some co-drivers and full timers, or some co-drivers been booted out altogether. So, do you want to be better or not? Yeah, yeah. I think eventually people just get tired of the grind. Like Todd Hazelwood got tired of the grind and he ran out of full time opportunities and got a great opportunity with Erebus and now the DJR with Brody. Didn't even try. That DJR seat was their thing. Yeah, because obviously DJR were like, "What's your shopping list?" It's just not good enough. Todd Hazelwood isn't what? I think Todd Hazelwood's no good. He's a good co-driver, but a shit full timer. I think he was a good full timer. He was just driving for shit teams. He was good at MSR. 2019 was a bit teething issues, I think. But 2020 and 21 with BJR are just inconsistent. But obviously Todd wasn't better than Nick Percat. Came back to MSR, drove against Jack LeBrock, and he's better than Jack LeBrock. Don't think he can pull together a championship challenge. Maybe not. Maybe not. Well, he did in 2017. He did a very good job. But that's Super 2 versus Main Game. Main Game has obviously got a lot more competitive talent. A lot harder to win the championship in Main Game. Yeah. And what else? So Todd beat Jack LeBrock in 22. No big teams in Super 2 that year either. Okay, yeah, true. Yeah, his rivals were really Paul Dumbrell was missing races for work. Yeah. Sorry, Egglestons, I gotta go to work. I'm working that weekend, sorry. Did he miss races? I thought he did the full season. I thought Paul Dumbrell did the full season. Do I still have Paul Dumbrell up on? No, I don't. Okay. Actually, I don't need this up anymore. But yeah, I gotta wrap it up. I gotta go have lunch or get lunch ready because I got other stuff going on. So thanks for coming in, dude. Good chat, and I'll see you next Sunday morning. Yeah, bye, dude. Bye.